In the second part of the series from a News of the World whistleblower, Byline investigates reveal how Rupert Murdoch's ex-Sunday tabloid falsely made it look like Prince Harry attended a coke-fueled polo party. The story is relevant because the Duke of Sussex is currently suing the publisher of the News of the World and The Sun for targeting him and his mom, Princess Diana, using illegal news gathering. The next High Court hearing in his multi-million pound privacy case is likely to be next month in November. Now, this is by Anonymous, the same person that wrote the part one. She starts out by saying, investigating a possible link. She was given an assignment, investigating a possible link between a phone musk and cancer. I was feeling good. I was going to investigate claims that a disproportionate number of women had developed breast cancer since the erection of this particular large mobile phone mosque in their village. While she was interviewing the women, she received a phone call which told her that she needed to drop everything and head to a new assignment. The new assignment that the newspaper assigned to her was to report on Prince Harry's use of drugs. They said basically, forget about that. We need you on something much more important. It's about Prince Harry. And they said, forget about that, meaning her interviewing the women that she was doing at that time. She continues, I knew then that there was no arguing. Prince Harry was currently at the top of the paper's agenda, having recently been exposed for alleged underage drinking and smoking cannabis, a story I had nothing to do with. And frankly, I didn't really want anything to do with this one either. However, she did end up agreeing to do it. Agreeing meaning she was told to go do it. Our brief was as follows. So she met with another colleague because they thought it would be easier for her and the colleague to get into this party after the polo match. So she writes here. Our brief was as follows. Get tickets to the comic polo on bikes in the afternoon. Blag our way into the evening after party. Watch our subjects like hawks and swap the ladies and gents toilets for traces of drugs. What a job. After afternoon spent watching them, play this polo game on bikes, which included Prince Harry and William and Zara Phillips at that time. Now she's known as Zara Tyndall. She exclaims basically, it's kind of this strange thing watching them play polo on bicycles with polo sticks. She talks about it being very easy to be invited to the after party, and she goes, it was like any other teenage sort of party with cheesy music, disco music. The DJ had these cheesy flashing lights, and the usual thing, she said. Right? There's lots of drinking, laughing, dancing, flirting. After getting a couple of drinks from the bar, we then did what tabloid reporters do best. We observed Prince William, just out of his teens at this time, maintained a low profile, chatting to friends, drinking mineral water. Really? Sorry, I didn't mean to say the really there. And politely fending off the occasional drunken girl. While Prince Harry, then age 17, acted more like a typical teen, more gregarious than his brother and less guarded. He drank bottles of Smirnoff Ice. I used to love Smirnoff Ice. And sort of like teased and talked with other partygoers and was telling his stories and flirting with numerous girls throughout the evening. I'm not surprised. This included a blonde girl who sat on his knees for a time before accompanying him around the back of the club. Okay. Okay, so him and this girl went around the clubhouse, ended up in a red Volkswagen Golf, and but however, she says that Prince Harry was under the watchful eyes of his minders. Royal brothers, yes, but as their mother, Princess Diana, once remarked, two very different characters. She follows that by saying, I followed the protocol, but didn't see anything either on the surface or the sellotape I stuck to them that looked remotely suspicious. So what they were asked to do was to get like sellotape and go into the bathroom of the girls, but the girls' bathroom and the guys' bathroom, and then like put the sellotape on surfaces and stuff. If it looked like there was traces of cocaine or anything like that, so then they would have proof that there was drugs being consumed at this party. On completing my mission, I returned to the party. My colleagues, meanwhile, went to see whether there was any further action around the back of the clubhouse. Oy, oy, oy. On his return, my fellow reporter held out his hand. Look, look what I found out in the grass. In his palm was a folded up piece of paper, which looked like it was from a beer bottle. Inside was some suspicious looking white powder. Oh, yeah, yeah. You know, my, I have, there is a saying, if you go looking for it, you will find it. They were looking for it, so they found it. Okay, so skip that. Okay, it says here, okay, thinking about it on the drive to London, I reckon that the story as it stood wouldn't make more than a page lead or so. However, I had all but forgotten about the drug tests that had been sent off. And when we arrived back on Saturday afternoon, the story had assumed proportions all of its own. Really? The results were in from the lab, let me guess. While the ladies' loo that I had swabbed had come back negative, the gents had come back positive for cocaine, as had the swab found in the ground of the club. Harry at drink and drug bash. News of the World, July 17, 2022. Ay. She writes, that changed everything. Suddenly we had a splash on our hands. The story had morphed from teenager drinks vodka and flirts with girls, shocked, to Harry at drink and drug bash. God, these people. The implications was clearly there, and I wasn't happy about it. So basically, they were implying that Prince Harry was just drinking, getting drunk, and doing cocaine. I was soon to become even unhappier. While the story was being finalized, ready for press, one of the news desk messaged me and my colleague and asked us to meet them downstairs. So this manager or colleague that met them downstairs asked them if they had wiped or taken care of the surface when they got there before taking the sample, because if they got there, didn't wipe the surface down in the bathrooms, right? And then went back later and took this sample, that basically means that it could have been anybody's cocaine. It could have been someone who was there earlier in the day. It could have been the folks that were partying at that time. So the manager basically asked, you folks did wipe the counters and stuff when you got there, right? And she basically started to think, and she was like, well, I didn't. There was no instructions to say so or to do so. So before she was able to say, well, no, I didn't, her colleague said, oh, of course we did. right? And then the manager basically said, okay, and then looked at her and in rather than in a question, affirmed, he said, you did clean them. And she just shook her head as in yes. And she says she has regrets about that and she feels ashamed that she did that. When the first editions of the paper landed late that night and I saw my name on the splash, something most reporters at Sunday tabloids can only expect perhaps a few times a year, if that. I should have felt jubilant, yet I felt anything but. The tabloid vendetta against Prince Harry had been further fueled, and I felt angry with myself for having had any part in it and allowing myself to be coerced. She said she had made a decision that she would leave the job, so she handed in her resignation. And a few days prior to her leaving, I guess her manager took her out to the pub to have some drinks. They had whiskey and vodka, and he basically, said to her, "Look, I would like you to stay. We don't want to lose you. Please stay. Please reconsider." And she goes, "I'm afraid that I said yes." So she went back to it. She goes, "At this point, I just feel like I've become institutionalized." Hmm. Much has been made recently of Prince Harry's phone being allegedly hacked and private investigators being used to illegally target him. So she basically said uh, this story that she was in charge of, or she took part of. She didn't do anything illegal. She didn't see anything illegal done. Her colleague didn't do anything illegal. Him finding cocaine outside. She didn't see him find it, but he found it. Not illegal. Like she's sure that he found it there. It wasn't planted or anything. I'm just saying, like she's sure about that. Um, yeah, I'll just read this part here. She goes, "I personally used no illegal methods for this story, and neither did my colleague who worked with me on this job. What I did was simply old-fashioned tabloid journalism. I wrote what I observed." And then they sort of finalized the article saying that in Prince Harry's book, published in 2023, Spare, he does admit to trying cocaine and using it. Um, and I guess they sort of ended by saying, we don't know if one of those occasions when he tried it was at that polo party. And that's it, basically. So I at this point, I really do not understand why anyone would buy these newspapers that still circulate, right? They're still quite prevalent. I guess I've got one question for either, the government or the British people. How much longer are you going to tolerate this kind of behavior from tabloids? How many more people have to suffer? How many more have to take their lives? There is no decency in any of this, and you folks are the ones who pride yourself in being decent and decorum and all of this stuff. And this is just insidiously disgusting. There's no morality in any of this. When you're consistently persecuting someone, some boy, some girl, some woman, some artist, and ruining their lives for what? Out of the satisfaction of your pleasure? Like, is everyone under this spell? Was it some kind of kinky, disgusting, where you get satisfaction from the suffering of, like, what, because he's a prince, or because someone is wealthy, or because they have fame, it's okay? It's another person, it's another human being. You know, I remember when Spirit came out, and the Daily Whatever had in their front page, "Oh, spare us." And then they had the number of people that when he was in combat, that's Prince Harry, you know, in wars, killing happens. That's what a war is. And it's not something he had to be proud of it or anything. He said, I was just like, needing to know his number. And you folks spread it all over. You have these people who are coming out, well, and saying these falsehood about this guy who lost his mom and had to walk behind her casket in front of millions of people, not allowed to even feel anything. Abused and tortured since he was, what, 12, 13? Not given a moment or time to just make mistakes and not have to pay these consequences because all of you are making money off of it. And you're not stopping because you still continue to do it. He found the love of his life. And the minute you saw a glimpse of happiness, you just started to attack him again, and then just went right into his wife. His wife that it got so bad, and I'm not going to say, but everyone knows what she shared with the world. When she said the thought was so clear in my mind, that is what was so scary. The thought was so clear in my mind that if he had left me alone, I was going to do it. And you people still think this is normal? This stiffer upper lip or whatever, you think it's normal. And if the person doesn't put up with it or survive, what is it? You think they're weak? Nothing is gonna, this is not freedom of press, this is abuse. Man, I mean, having said that, the people who own these rag newspapers are billionaires, right? So all of you are kind of, I mean, when I say all of you, I mean the politicians and so on. You're all under their thumb. It's so sad. It's so sad because it's played out in front of us. Look, I'm a nobody. I know, you know what I mean. I no one needs to know my life or whatever. But just the thought of being scrutinized like that all the time, and it's relentless, non-stop. I mean, I would have freaking wanted to go into a helicopter and go into war also, because I mean that seems to be less painful than having to deal with you blood-sucking, disgusting, disturbing people who just get pleasure out of like inflicting this kind of torture. You all need to like spend some money in therapy or something. And I mean, I'm sure this is not just contained within the UK. I'm sure like there's other parts of the world where this kind of stuff happens, but it's just very prevalent in the UK. I mean, People buy this stuff. People click and read this nonsense. There's people that I like that that are actors. There's people, there's sports people that I like. I don't care what they do in their private lives. I don't. If they want us to know, then they'll put out a statement or something. But for some odd reason, we kind of think, and I'm not saying we, as in me, people think, oh well, because I go watch your movies and you got paid $20 million for a movie, I have the right to know. No, you don't. Leave the guy alone. Leave his wife alone. Leave his children alone. Let them, for heaven's sake, have a peaceful life. I was watching Talk TV the other day, and some of the disgusting, oh, just when you think that kind of language is done with, right? They've moved on. They live in California now. You people kicked them out. You said you didn't want them there anymore. They even volunteered and said, "Listen, we're not going to take taxpayers' money. We don't want it. We'll do our work. We'll get our jobs, but we will still serve." No, no. Why? Because a bunch of you are jealous, and because the black biracial woman came in and did your job that you were trained to do since you were born, did it better, faster, quicker, and with elegance and beauty. Gosh, so sad, man. So sad.